raise your hand or indicate, and I'm sure we'll cover you all. Okay then, can I, it is afternoon now, so prynawn da, can I welcome you to our South West Wales Corporate Joint Committee, Strategic Planning Subcommittee, on the 19th of May. Good afternoon, as I said, and welcome to the meeting of this meeting. We have received apologies from Councillor David Hopkins from Swansea Council, and I believe Andrea Lewis is here instead of David. Is that right, Andrea?
That's correct, Chair.
Thanks, Andrea. So can I just please remind everybody that this meeting is being recorded, and please can I ask everyone switching microphones to mute and mobiles to silent during the meeting. As I said, if you wish to ask a question, just raise your hand or indicate. I'm sure I'll see you. So agenda item 2 is declarations of interest. So can I just ask any member to make a declaration of interest based on today's agenda items, if you could, please?
I see no indication, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, move on to agenda item 3, which is the minutes of the previous meetings, which is on pages 3 to 6. The minutes of the meetings were held on the 19th of November 2024, and are included, as I said, on your pages 3 to 6 of the agenda pack. Are they here for approval only? Can I just ask members if they have any comments of the accuracy of those minutes first, please? Anything in there that shouldn't be in there? Anything that needs adding? Any member got any comments to make on these minutes as accuracy? Again, I don't see anybody. Chloe?
No, I see no indication, Chair.
Thanks, Chloe. So I'm happy now then to propose that these are a true record. These minutes are a true record. Can I have a seconder to formally approve them, please?
I'm happy to second, Chair.
Thank you. I was going to say who was at the meeting. Perhaps they weren't all at the meeting, so thank you for that. So members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume that you're content with the accuracy of those minutes. And Chloe can confirm.
Yep, I see no indication of the contrary, Chair, so those minutes have been approved.
Thank you very much. As you know, it's a short meeting today, but I'm hoping for some lively debate. So agenda item 4 is the Strategic Development Plan update for you, which is on pages 7 to 12. This report is on your agenda pack, as I said. So I'm going to bring in Nicola Pierce now to provide an overview of the report. Nicola, please.
Thank you, Chair. Members will be aware that we wrote some time ago to Julie James when she had responsibility for the planning portfolio, indicating that we had concerns regarding the requirements for us to press ahead and to deliver the strategic development plan in the absence of appropriate financial resources. And at that time, we requested that funding be made available to enable us to deliver the SDP. The response that we had at the time was that they had provided funding to deliver the regional transport plan, and if there were any resources left over from that process, that we could utilise those financial resources to develop the SDP, but no further funding was going to be forthcoming. You'll possibly be aware that the regional transport plan has progressed significantly. There were no resources available from that budget to help the SCP, so we were intending to submit a further letter to Rebecca Evans in her capacity now as lead politician in Welsh Government for planning to reiterate. Oh, there's a bit of feedback. Okay, to reiterate our concerns that the funding required in order to deliver an SDP, not just in terms of the financial requirements, but in terms of the staff resources that we would require to deliver the SDP, just couldn't be accommodated without additional money being made available from Welsh Government. Now, that letter had been prepared, and we were in discussion with the other CJCs within Wales to establish whether it could be a joint letter which we could send to Welsh Government. Early indications with the other CJCs indicated that Mid Wales and North Wales were content and were prepared to sign up to the letter. However, South East Wales had confirmed that they had prepared the delivery agreement, and therefore it would be very difficult for them to sign up to the letter. So there was an issue there. Further discussions have since taken place, and it would appear that North Wales has also progressed to starting to develop the delivery agreement for their SDP. So that makes Mid Wales and the South West Wales regions in a different position to North and South East. We've calculated that the cost of preparing an SDP is in the region of between 3.5 and 4.5 million pounds, and will be developed over 5.5 to 6 years, and will require a staff complement of around 6 officers. We can't redeploy staff from within the existing policy teams within the 4 areas within the Southwest region, because they are either in the process of developing their regional development, local development plans, the replacement local development plans, sorry, or that they are doing the monitoring and evaluation in the case of the national park. Sorry, I should have included the national parks in this. So you've got 4 local authorities, 4 local planning authorities plus planning authorities in the national park. So we've got 6 authorities who have an interest in the SCP. Now they're either in the process of updating their, going through the process of developing their replacement local development plans, or as in the case with Pembrokeshire Coast National Park, they're adopted, but they're in the monitoring and evaluation phase. So it was established that we didn't have resources within the existing structures to redeploy to develop the STP. As I say, we were going to progress with presenting that letter to Rebecca Evans in her capacity as the Minister responsible for planning. But following discussions within the CJC and at a political level, it was suggested that we put forward a list of 2 options which we could consider. It transpires that we've got money within the CJC, a limited level of reserves, and we've also received a letter from Welsh Government indicating that they are providing funding of up to £200,000 this year to contribute towards capacity and governance. So with the reserves that we've got and the funding from Welsh Government, there is a potential for us to have sufficient funds to progress with the preparation of a delivery agreement only. That does not mean that we will progress to develop the strategic development plan. So that is the position that we understand that the South East Wales is progressing with, and that's also the position that we've recently been advised of in North Wales. They're going to progress with the delivery agreement, but they are going to hold firm on pushing forward to actually develop the strategic development plan. So there are 2 options in this paper for consideration by members, and the recommendations of this subcommittee then will be fed up to the joint committee itself. Option 1 is to use the reserves that I've mentioned to recruit an experienced planning officer and to start preparations on the delivery agreement for the SDP, but not to progress any further, because, as I say, that will require significant additional funds and resources in terms of staff resources to take that step. Or option 2 is to continue to hold our position and refuse to progress with the delivery agreement until we have funds in place to prepare the delivery agreement and then swiftly move on to preparing the SDP. So those are the 2 options that are available to members today. And as I've indicated, the recommendation of this subcommittee will be referred up to the joint committee when it next meets. I'm happy to take any questions, Chair, but that is a brief overview of the report that is before members today.
Thank you, Nicola. Thanks for that brief report. Before I bring members in for any questions, are there any other officers would like to make any comments on where we are? And I mean, it's an important decision that we need to take to the CJC, obviously, for their consideration, and the both options are there. And I'm sure you've all read the reports, and you've listened to Nicola. But if you want any clarity, I'm sure Nicola and other officers would come in. But can I just ask if there's any other officer want to add anything to what Nicola have said, just to give more information to members before they make a decision? Yeah, Stephen, do you want to come in?
Yes, thanks, Chair. Just to clarify the reserves of the city deal, they are looking to be around about the 1.1 million at the end of 24-25. We haven't finalised the accounts yet, but they are looking to be in that position. However, when we set the CJC's budget in January for the next 3 years, we did propose, and it was accepted, that we use around about £500,000 over the next 3 years to keep the levy, which we charge for 4 local authorities plus the plus the 2 national parks, this at the same level for the next 3 years. So we do have roughly £500,000, give or take, of reserves. However, that's not just for the strategic planning, it's for the other subcommittees within the CJC.
Thank you for that, Stephen. I can't see any other officer indicating, so I'll open it up to members for questions or observations, because we have to make a decision here today. So I just want to gauge your feedback and opinions. Do anybody want to come in with some views? I don't see any hands. Nicola, from me then. My view is the option one. If I'm honest, I have to say I think option one will clearly, through yourselves, will give a direction to the CJC, and as you know, we have these subcommittees leaders, and I'll be sitting there as well. I think it'll indicate that we are moving forward in the way that we probably would like to move forward, but putting the onus is really back on the funding mechanism, so that they need to find that money to deliver the preparation, as you said, unless appropriate financial resources are made available by Welsh Government. I don't know how, going into Purda and going into election year, I always ask these questions. Andrea would know this. I ask him at WLGA, I ask him everywhere. I don't know how the mechanism or the speed of delivering the SDP. We know how difficult it's been up to now. And we don't know potentially where further funding is going to come from, while we run out our own local development plans, isn't it? And they all got to sort of fit in unison with each other. So I really don't know, but I believe option one probably is the best option. But I listen to opinions and views. Jacob, you want to come in? Jacob, Councillor
Okay,
Jacob.
thank you. This is the first meeting I've attended in this capacity, so it's nice to see you all. My preference would have been for option two, but I'm hesitant. I'm interested to see what other constituent councils feel. So I don't come in with a great load of detail to offer the committee, but I did come in with the preference for option two, on the basis that money's tight, and also I think there is potential for more money to be awarded. I know it might seem unlikely, but money has been awarded, announced recently for the nutrient management boards. So, rabbits do come out of hats, but my preference would have been for option two. I would be interested to see what others feel, though.
Yeah, no, that's your choice. What I was trying to explain is that the money that sits there is there to be used now to get us in line with the other partnerships, similar. That's all I was trying to indicate. But because I don't know, I think what we don't know is there going to be more money, and it hasn't come so far. So, but I totally respect your view and opinion. I mean, both options wouldn't be on the table if they weren't appropriate. So I got no issues with that, Jacob. So bring in who put their hand up first? Was it Rachel or Andrea?
I think Councillor Andrea Lewis. Yeah.
Andrea, over to you then, Andrea.
Thank you, Chair. Just obviously I'm representing Councillor David Hopkins today, but Swansea's position is that we would prefer option 1. So just to add that into the mix.
Thanks, Andrea. Yeah, Rachel?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I was going to say the same, to be honest. I think it's been a really good paper to lay that out, and the funding is there. So it's a difficult argument to say, you know, at this stage that we can't at least progress something. And I think it could give us a basis then. So the flip side is, isn't it, we're committing money, what we don't know, we can then do, you know, finish the job. I get that piece, but I think by producing the DA, it then will trigger the next stage. So I think showing that willing, giving us the baseline, you said, Steve, it gives us more of an idea of what we want as well. I think it'll help us have those strategic discussions about what are we doing as a region, what can we do in common, etc. So yeah, I'm in favour of option 1. I think, although nervous that we're committing money in a tight time when we don't actually know how we would finish it in the 5-6 year period. The only other thing I would say as well is that it does make you wonder when you're looking at the total cost of these kinds of things, whether there is a more creative way. So when we're working regionally, do we always need to do exactly the same times 6 for an SDP, if you like? That we're looking at it through the lens of almost doing 6 plans because we've got 6 organisations. And I just wonder, but I think more guidance will come out on this over the years. I think none of us know as yet, but how can we do that in a more creative way? So it's adding that regional layer rather than 6 of the plans. I hope that made sense, Steve. I can come back if it didn't.
Oh, very much so. I think Nicola picked up on that. So I'll Nicola come back because I think you're quite right with some of the points you raised there. Very, very important. Nicola?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. We are required to individually, the 6 planning authorities within the region are required to prepare a replacement local development plan. So 5 of us are in that process of preparing those plans, and Pembrokeshire Coast National Park are in the lucky position that they've had their plan adopted and they're doing the monitoring and evaluation. So we'll still have to have the individual plans for local authority areas. The SCP will be one plan which covers the whole of the region. Once you have a strategic development plan adopted, you are then able to do what is known as an LDP light, which is a smaller version or a more concise version of what we are currently doing for each local plan authority area. So theoretically, once you get an SDP in place and it's adopted, it places less pressure on each of the local planning authorities to put as much work into their LDPs. They're much more concise documents. So in the longer term, it should place less of a burden on each of the individual local authorities, but it's going to take some time for us to get there. But what we've been doing in the meantime, and we've worked collaboratively across the region for many, many years, way before CJCs came into existence, we've always shared sort of evidence bases and processes to collect evidence and methodologies for undertaking studies. We've done joint studies across the region for many, many years. So we're working together as planning officers across the region anyway, and we will continue to do that going forward because it makes practical and financial sense to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicola. Okay then, Tom, do you want to come in?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Just to add to what Nicola's said, the only other point I'd add into the mix is that we are waiting on guidance to be issued by Welsh Government in terms of the formation of strategic development plans, and it is very important to have that in place, and it will make a big difference as to what the scope of these plans are going to be. Just picking up on the point that the councillors made there, Councillor Davis, in respect of can we be a bit more creative and in terms of the the scope of the plan, can it be formulated with less resource? Well, I think a lot of that is really dependent on what we are able to do in terms of responding to what that manual says about this, all the elements that these strategic plans are required to address. If that manual did change from the initial version that was sent around some time ago, and it reduced the scope of the plan. Then that really would be something that we could look at, and we could adapt as I say, the nature of the plan. So perhaps it wasn't such a resource intensive thing, but indications are that it isn't going to change significantly. We do have to wait until it's published before doing that, but there's certainly been, as officers across the region, we've made some voices quite clear in that respect, in terms of we think there is a lot to be said for scaling down the requirements of an SDP and an account. It is much more of a strategic document, for example, in the English system, but we've got our own system, and SDP is going to be quite a different animal then, in terms of as a plan for the region. So yeah, it's just something to bear in mind, really, that we are beholden a little bit on that document, and we'd really like that to be issued as soon as possible from government, but it's down to their resource as well.
Yes, thanks, Tom. Nicola, you want to come back?
Yeah, just very briefly, if I can, Chair. I think what Tom has indicated is really important, and that was another one of the reasons why we were previously refusing to progress to the delivery agreement stage, is because the manual hadn't been published. Via the Planning of Society Wales, Welsh Government had shared with us what the draft document would look like, but that was some time ago, and they indicated timescales for going out to consultation on the manual, and those timescales keep changing. So if members are minded to go with option 1 in terms of preparing the delivery agreement, I think the fact that we haven't got a manual in place to enable us to know what procedure we have to follow will give us safeguards in terms of our progress towards developing the delivery agreement, but not progressing with the SCP until we've got that manual in place, and until we know what process Welsh Government want us to follow. Because as Tom has indicated, we don't want to follow one route and then Welsh Government say, actually, this is how we want you to do it. But I don't think us progressing with developing the delivery agreement is going to frustrate that process. That's all I wanted to add, Leader.
Thanks, Nicola, and that's you and Tom made good points there. That's really important. And Jacob, it was rude of me not to have introductions, but lovely to see you. And you know, like all us local government elected members, how frustrating it is. We want to do so much, and then we obviously, even in the CJC itself, the resources that we need to deliver what we try to deliver out in the best of our ability are always going to be curtailed by pressures and other reasons. As you know, I don't have to tell you that, do I? But it's not easy. So before I move on to the formal part of this meeting to get as to which option we're going to choose, can I just check if there's anybody else, any members who want to raise anything, ask any further questions before I move on? No, I don't see any. Okay then. So as you know, the recommendation is in the report that can be found on page 7 of your report, and is detailed as followed. Members consider the 2 options contained within the report this afternoon, providing a recommendation on the preferred option on the commencement of work to deliver a strategic development plan in pursuit of the town and country planning, Strategic Development Plan Wales Regulations 2021, for subsequent consideration by the South West Wales Corporate Joint Committee. And the 2 proposal options for consideration are included on page 10 of your circulated report, and the preferred option by the subcommittee will be referred to the CJC for a decision. Before I am happy to propose option 1, I see Aled's got his hand up, so I'll come to you first before we move on with the formalities. Then Aled, over to you.
Thank you very much. Just a quick one. Could I please have clarity about the voting rights of the national parks over this one? I suspect it is strategic, but I would like clarity from the chair.
Yes, Chloe, can you come in on this?
Yes, Chair. Yep. So National Park members can be included on this vote because it is to deal with strategic planning matters, and it will be the same in the CJC decision as well.
Thank you,
Okay.
thank you, Chair.
Oh, sorry, Aled, I missed your hand when I was in full flow then. So, but thank you for coming in, and I hope that clarity is what you expected. Okay, then. So, as I said, I'm happy now to put forward to the committee that I'll propose option 1 of our agenda papers this afternoon. Can I have a second to option 1, please? Rachel, you put your hand up. Are you formally? Aled,
Yes,
is that
yes.
a legacy hand? Or you were seconding it as well? Okay, thank you.
Happy to second.
There we are. We got that, Chloe, as a seconder. So can I ask now then, are there any abstentions to the proposal? I don't see any.
I see none, Chair. No.
Okay then, so members, if you do not indicate to the contrary by raising your hand, I will assume that you're in favour of the recommendations.
I see one indication to the contrary, Chair.
There we are, if you
Just
note
wait.
that.
Yeah. But all other members are happy to go with option 1. So that recommendation has been endorsed to go to the Corporate Joint Committee for formal decision.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you for that. Is somebody coming in then? I hear somebody speaking? No?
No, sorry, I've got feedback, Chair. I'm in the office.
All right. Okay, there we are then. If I move on with this afternoon's agenda, agenda item 5 is urgent items. I can confirm that I have no urgent items for today's meeting. Therefore, I will call this meeting to a close. Can I thank you all again once more for your attendance? These meetings are important, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.